Hey friends, this is Jay, and this week on Genderqueer Chat, we are talking about children. And the question is, if you are or were to become a parent, how would you approach gender with your child? How would you express yourself to them? What would you have them call you? And how would you approach their gender? So I thought Joe did a great job talking about this topic, and despite their desire to not be a parent, which I can relate to some extent, I have no intentions or plans of being a parent at this point in time in my life, but at the same time, it is something I think about, especially in terms of gender and how I would want to deal with that for myself and for them. But, if it ever were to happen, I feel like, it's something I need to be prepared for. So the first part of the question, how would you approach gender with your child? And I think I really like Joe's answer for this. I want to be myself. I don't want to pretend that I'm anything that I'm not, especially to my kids. I want them to respect me and to like me for me and to love me for me, and I want them to respect and love other people for being themselves. And it's, in my opinion, the only right thing to do, but to be open to a certain extent. And, I think how Joe was talking about treating them like adults and explaining things on in age appropriate terms. I think that's a really good way to approach gender with kids, and I think that it's how I would want to try and approach it. As far as expressing gender, I'm kind of conflicted about this part because, in general, I don't want or like to draw unnecessary attention to myself. I present generally male, but at the same time, on certain occasions, in certain circumstances, with certain people, and in particular, in the comfort of my home, sometimes I like to express myself differently than I do to the general public. And, if I want to come home and throw a dress on, then I want to do that. But I think for kids, it could be really difficult for some kids to deal with, especially in certain social groups. To have a parent who doesn't fit that social norm, who goes outside of the box, especially if they're repeating that their parents are doing that to friends or to friends' parents or to teachers or something like that, that could cause issues for you and for the kid. And I think that I don't know how I would approach it. I'm really not sure, just because of the potential backlash on the child mainly. What people think of me, that's my business and my deal, but my kid is another story, and I would hate to be the cause of my child's isolation or being an outcast in a group, or being made fun of, or even physically threatened or something. And that's a real internal struggle, because on one hand you want to, it'll never be okay if people don't go out and do it and make it something that becomes socially acceptable and okay. But at the same time, it's hard, I think, to be the person who puts themselves out there uh, on behalf of everyone else. And maybe that's lame, maybe that's shallow, but at the same time, it's practical. Uh, it's hard to, yeah, to put yourself out there like that. As far as like a parental name, now this I tried to research and I looked in quite a few places and I had a really hard time finding general neutral terms for parents, for, mom and dad, other than parent guardian. You know, I saw some people said that Baba was a popular term for as a replacement for mom and dad. That's a gender neutral term. I saw that some people like to come up with other, nicknames or pet names that they used in place of a mom or dad or something. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of a term, and I haven't really thought of one that, has that endearing, you know, closeness or just ring or sound to it that fits like a mom or dad kind of thing that wouldn't be totally awkward. And I mean, you know, I get the whole just having them call you by your name, but at the same time, like, I think as a parent and as a child, like, having that special name that you call that person, especially when you're referring to them to somebody else, I think people want that. I want that. I would want that, definitely. But yeah, I'm really not sure what that term is. But if anyone has any good suggestions, and I'm really interested to hear what everyone else has to say, because I would love to hear other ideas about, gender neutral terms for a parent. But yeah, I don't have a good one. And as far as their gender, now I had read about a couple in Canada that there was a bunch of controversy about and stuff in the news about them basically not revealing the child's gender to the public. Just a few family members, close friends, and other than that, like the sex of the child, they didn't reveal to anybody, to allow their child to grow up and explore and discover gender in their own terms without societal pressures of, you're a boy, you're supposed to do this, you're a girl, you're supposed to do this, wear this, whatever. And they got a lot of backlash for it, and a lot of people that saying that they're bad parents and they're setting this kid up for bullying and blah 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 on down the line. I don't know if society at large is quite ready for that, but I really love that idea of not forcing, or not even forcing as much as just setting a path for a child in one direction or another. I wish as a kid I was just given the freedom to do what I felt right with, rather than, being told, well, you have a penis, this is what you're supposed to do, yeah, I think it would be a lot, things would be a lot different if that were the way, but and of course, if my child did have gender issues, I would totally be supportive about it, and would clearly want to help them be themselves, and know that they are loved, and that regardless of how they identify, that they are special and perfect just the way that they are. But yeah, that's where I'm at on that. So I'm kind of mumbling a little bit. I'm really excited to hear what everybody else thinks about this, and I'm glad Monday is no longer the first day of the week, because as much as Joe's dreading it, uh, being on the first day of the week for the channel, I was dreading it probably a little bit more. Being my second week and all, I was way not prepared to be the first one to go on this topic, so it was nice to hear what Joe had to say and to be able to kind of use that to piggyback and propel some of my ideas for today. Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm going into the wee hours of Tuesday here, but I've been rehearsing like crazy for a show that I'm in, so I've been a little behind the eight ball. But anyway, good night. Much love.